Hey folks, welcome back to Only Best Fantasy Novels. My name is Robin, and today I want to talk about Ashes of Honor. I don't even know what book this is in the October Day series at this point, just go with it. But at this point, like I keep saying in every single one of these videos, with each installment, Seanan McGuire continues to just give us a better and better story. And Ashes of Honor is no exception to that. Like, this is easily the best one in the series to date. And let's get into it. So at this point, it's been about a year since Toby gave up her holding, and life has been relatively quiet. That is until she gets a request to track down a missing child from the least likely source possible ever to give her that kind of request. To make matters worse, it quickly becomes clear that this changing that she's asked to track down is not only extremely powerful, but has no control over her power. And it's a combination that very literally threatens the fabric of fairy and reality as a whole. So it quickly becomes a race against time for Toby to track down this changing and attempt to help them before reality as they know it unravels around them. So like, this book has a lot going on, as you can tell from that premise, and at the same time, that title, Ashes of Honor, is very significant because that's kind of the idea that this book plays with in all three of the story arcs that you get. Like the concept of honor and what happens when that honor is twisted, bent, gone completely out of shape. How do you deal with the remnants or the sundering thereof, you can say. And the ways that we see this is, one, the arc with the father of this changing, and given his persona throughout the series and what the existence of this changing means for him. The second way we see this is the reckoning that Tybalt faces with the Court of Cats, given his recent actions. And then finally we have the way that Toby has to kind of the situation that Toby is in, where she has to kind of deal with the way her life has been going when you compare it to the situation that she was in with a particular character who passed away in one of the previous books, 1 year on. So that's kind of like honor and that kind of thing is very heavily played with over the course of these books, in terms of how it shapes what these characters do and how the choices that they make and the life they live and that kind of thing. So, like, needless to say, with all of that, there's quite a bit of interesting character work going on in here, and that's just with that regard. That's even before we get the regular amount of development and that kind of thing that we get in pretty much any October Day book at this point. Like, there's the usual progression of character dynamics and just the changing relationships and these kind of things that happen. Like, one typical example is, at this point, Toby pretty much officially accepts the fact that she has a squire. A new squire, I should say. And then there's the entire situation with Tybalt, as well as like the dynamics of his court and all of that. Like, things get pretty interesting in this book, to put it mildly. And as to the execution of all of this in this book, like I said, it's one of the best in the series to date, because Seanan McGuire balances all of this heavy introspective work that these characters kind of face with everything that we love about this series, in terms of just like a breakneck plot, a heavy dose of mystery as we try to track down this not just this changing, but this force that seems to be trying to interfere with what should be a very common fairy scenario. It's just the usual fast-paced, action-packed train ride. We have the mystery, and given the fact the way that this changing's powers work, and just the nature of the challenge that she faces, like, of course we get a lower expansion here. Every book we get a lower expansion, and this one is one of the most interesting to date and one of the most creative to date, where that goes. So, like I said, everything that I enjoy about these books is just in here, and it's just really dialed up a notch. And like I said, of course, like, this book has a heavy mystery component to it. Even as some of the plot, because setting aside the mystery, like just the subplot of the mystery within this single book, we have threads from the previous books that wrap up, even as Seanan McGuire begins to lay new threads and new seeds for stories that are going to come. And given how the series has progressed to date, we know that she doesn't take long to to let those seeds germinate. Like within the next few books, many of these things that she kind of hints and teases here will get dealt with. So that alone makes me very excited to just keep reading deeper and deeper into this series. And then setting aside all of that, like we just have Toby just dealing with quite a bit in this book herself, because we have the entire situation surrounding the death of a character in the previous book, and then we have the revelation surrounding her, like her heritage and repercussions to that and what it means for her moving forward. So there's quite a lot, especially as she becomes more heavily embroiled in fairy, which is something that she generally tends to try and stay out of. So given all of that, like this book does a lot of heavy lifting, even as it maintains that same fast-paced, action-packed, fun ride kind of adventure story, like that pulpy adventure that is just like a hallmark of this series, and just these type of urban fantasy books in general. So all in all, just to summarize, it's just really truly another great installment from Seanan McGuire. Is this the 6th? I think this might be the 6th in the series. One thing I should note is that I was warned Seanan McGuire has a tendency to start series really strong and then just take them in a direction you don't necessarily appreciate as the story goes. If this is, I'm assuming, book 5 or 6 in a series that is at least 18 books long. So far, at least for the first roughly third of the series, I can say that she still continues to meet my expectations and deliver a story that I'm enjoying. Whether that continues into the later books, there's only one way to find out. And at this point in time, I'm very excited to continue reading and see what comes next in this particular world with these particular characters, because this series has cemented itself as one of my more fun urban fantasy series to read. I think I have it in either top 5 at this point. Top 5 or top 3. Probably top 5. Top 5. Yeah, top 5 is fair. Yeah. And that's kind of my take of Ashes of Honor by Seanan McGuire. If you made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.